Bore da. Good morning, everyone. So welcome to this month's Business Swansea Enterprise Club session, and this is on sourcing startup finance, which is a very important topic, of course. If you would like to watch any of our previous sessions, then you can watch them back via our Business Swansea YouTube channel. I'll post the link up shortly. Before we start, can I remind you that the session is recorded, so if you'd prefer for your face not to be shown, please turn off your camera by clicking the camcorder icon at the top of your screen. This session will also be updated onto our YouTube channel. So first of all, I think it would be good if we can do some introductions and go around the room, as it were. So my name's Steve Williams. I'm an Economic Development Officer with Swansea Council, focusing on business support and also helping startup businesses in Swansea. So next person, if I could invite, is Andrew. Andrew, if you tell us a bit about why you're here and a bit about your business, would be great.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Andrew. I own Gwyn's Ice Cream. We started up in 2020, just before the pandemic. Yes, we make artisan ice cream, and I'm just here to sort of see what's about, see if there's any finance available, and best way to source it, really.
Okay, Andrew, good to have you here. One of our presenters, Emily, quick intro.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Emily from Development Bank of Wales. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you've got a bit of background noise going on.
Is it? Oh, I'm not sure if it's better with...
Emily, have you?
Yeah, I might take the headphones off then. Better. Can you hear me better then?
No.
Or is it still the cat sound?
It's okay, we can hear you.
We can hear you, it's okay.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just because I've got one of those tablet laptops. Yeah, so I'm Emily from Development Bank of Wales. So I provide loans for businesses from £1,000 up to 50,000. Yeah, more information to follow.
Great. Okay. Fionn.
Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Fionn. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, quick intro.
Great deal. But yeah, hi, I'm Fionn from Cowine. We're a business support project for food and drink businesses in Wales. I look after the Swansea Neath Talbot area. So I'm just here just to kind of network and just to learn more about what's on offer for these businesses.
Thanks, Fionn. Sarah Harkness. Sarah, are you here? You're mute.
Yes, typical. Sorry, I was on mute. I don't know if Adrian's already introduced himself, but I work on the PACE team with Adrian, and we work out in the community. We're on a Welsh Government project, and we support parents get back into work. A lot of them are lone parents, and obviously they're looking at self-employment because that works well with their kind of family dynamics. And we're aware that some funding is finishing and new funding is starting up, so we just want to explore options so we're better educated to be able to pass the information on to our participants then.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Helen Davis, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and your prospective business organisation, please?
Hiya, yeah, I'm Helen. I'm in the process of setting up Sunflower Lounge, which is going to be a social enterprise working with young people in care to improve their educational and employment opportunities.
Okay, excellent. Howell.
Hi everyone, I'm Howell Bassett. I'm a business advisor with Business Wales. We offer help and support to pre-start and established businesses.
Thanks, Howell. Lisa.
Hello, I'm Lisa Stretch and a business advisor with Startup Loans.
Thanks, Lisa. Mark Davis.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Mark Davis. I'm the head of commercial for Intrabiz. We are a networking organisation, so we look to sort of support businesses. We work with a few other people who've already spoken here today, and we're always looking to support, especially things like startups and stuff like that. So whatever we can do to offer our support, we're there for you.
Thanks, Mark. Matt.
Good morning, everyone. Matt Callahan from Swansea Council, working in the same role as Steve in the business support, business engagement, startup support. One of the things that I do focus on through this is the parallel group that runs to this, which is the business support hour, and I'll give you more details of that at the end of the session.
Thanks, Matt. Miranda, one of our other guest speakers today.
Hello, there seems to be quite a few of us. Morning, everyone. I'm Miranda. I'm advisor for Big Ideas Wales, which is part of the Business Wales family, and I work with young people under the age of 25 who are planning and starting up businesses.
Thanks, Miranda. Adrian Rees.
Hi all, yeah, same as Sarah, same project, pace, but I cover the areas that Morriston and Gorseinon Job Centre cover.
Great. Thanks, Adrian. Ross?
Yeah, hi everyone. Ross, I'm the director of Garrison Farm, and it's a community interest company focused on veterans and sustainability, getting into education, employment and housing, and how we use circular economy sort of methodologies really to apply these to one planet development, sort of eco villages and farming, agriculture. It's a very big beast. But yeah.
Great.
Garrison Farm.
Thanks, Ross. Shahid?
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Shahid Islam, just call me Shahid. I work with Howell. I cover Swansea, Nathan Patalbot as a business advisor for Business Wales.
Thanks, Shahid. We've got Sue Yeep.
Hello.
Hi, Sue.
Oh, hello, hi. I'm a freelance artist, so just start up like my own business, mainly selling digital print online.
That's great. Thanks for joining us, Sue. Lovely to have you here. And we've also had a lady called Charlotte who's just joined us. Charlotte, can you tell us a little bit about why you're here and perhaps your business, please? I think he's having problems connecting. Bear with us. Okay, that's fine. Right, guys, I think we've got everyone here now. So the purpose of these sessions really are to cover all the essential topics relevant to starting a business. We have engaged with the local business community and also with our partner organisations who will supply us with a different business expert every month to facilitate these sessions. So our guest speakers today are Lisa Stretch from Business in Focus, Emily Wood from the Development Bank, and Miranda Thomas from Business Wales. So the order of today is we'll have Lisa and Emily fundamentally looking at loans. I'll be doing a short presentation around grant funding. Then Miranda's going to finish off around business planning and cash flow forecasting. You will have the opportunity to ask any questions at the end of each presentation, or you can write your questions in the chat and we'll go through them at the end. Obviously, the chat is a speech bubble at the top of the screen. I'd also politely ask you to mute your microphone to avoid any background noise which could distract the group while our guest speakers are delivering their presentations. So, Lisa, can we start off with your presentation, please?
I'm on mute, wasn't I? Sorry, can you hear me and can you see that?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you and I can see that, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay then, so I'm not very good at presenting, just to let you know. I'm much more happy in a spreadsheet, so bear with me. I try not to do death by PowerPoint for you today. My name's Lisa Stretch. I'm a business advisor for the startup loans in Wales. So let's start. So what's Startup Loan? It's a government-backed loan delivered on behalf of the British Business Bank. You can borrow between 500 and 25,000. The average loan is about 8 at the moment. Fixed rate, as you can see there, 6.19%. This is a personal loan that can be used for business purposes, so you do have to go through a personal credit check. The loan's unsecured, so there's no need to put forward any assets or guarantors or anything like that. It's a 1 to 5 year loan repayment term, which you choose. One thing to note, though, that all owners or partners in the businesses can apply individually for 25,000 each. So there's a maximum of 100,000 available per business if you've got 4 directors. We work closely with the Development Bank of Wales and also with Business Wales as well. There's no application or setup fees, and you get free post-loan support and mentoring for 12 months after you've drawn down. So that can be access to me to help you if you're stuck with anything. But also, as we work really closely with Business Wales, if there's something I don't know, then I can always find someone to help you. So the eligibility criteria, you have to be 18 and over and have the right to work in the UK. And the business has got to be based in the UK. Obviously, you've got to pass the credit checks. There's a couple of things that are excluded. So obviously, I probably don't need to say this, but things like weapons, drugs, banking or gambling, transfer services, that kind of thing. Sorry, banking transfer services, I mean, gambling. Property investment is not covered either. And neither are businesses where you receive commission. Okay, so there's a good thing about the startup loan is that you can have one loan, and then if that's not enough, you can come back for a second, as long as you haven't had the full 25,000. So I'll start with the first loans at the moment. So all applicants have to provide a business plan, a cash flow forecast, and a personal survival budget. But don't panic, because, you know, that's my job to help you with this. And also Business Wales also, we work really, you know, passing back and forth. If you need a lot more support, Business Wales also help you with that kind of thing. Some support and evidence may be required, such as they could ask you for bank statements, but not all clients will be asked to provide these. That's determined by your credit check. If you are asked for bank statements, you'll need them the last 3 months. They may ask you for lease or heads of terms agreements if you're taking on any premises, purchase agreements. Those, you know, there's quite a lot that you have to gather together. Quotes for equipment is a big one. If you want anything over £1,000, they'll want to see a quote, but that can just be a screenshot. It's quite simple to put it together, but that's where I come in to help you to gather everything together. So say, for instance, now you've borrowed 10,000, you think I need a little bit more, you can come back and have a second loan. You can't ever have more than 25,000. And to get the second loan, you've got to have been trading for at least 3 months and still less than 2 years. And all your loan repayments must be up to date. I did put a slide on about the new Enterprise Allowance, but it is drawing to a close in December. So some clients who may be claiming benefits can access the new Enterprise Allowance scheme. So this is where they'll help you to put together a business plan and help you, you know, put everything together. You can apply for a loan, a startup loan, if you're on benefits. It's not something that's off limits for you. As long as you've got a really good business plan, you can show that the business is going to work and pay a wage, you can still apply. So the last slide really is how you apply. So you apply online. So I've popped a little where you register there. You complete the online application form about your business, helping us to understand how much you want to borrow, what you want the money for, and then you agree for a credit check to be run. Once you've been through the credit check, you come through to us then, and that's when I will come along and say, right, have you got a business plan, how much support you need, and help you put everything together. Once everything's put together and we've got all your documents, then it's submitted to panel. And it can be, a lot of people want to know, how long does it take? And it can be really quick or it can be really slow. It all depends how quick you get the information together. So, you know, I've had cases where someone's come to me for a loan. They've got everything, there it is, it's gone in that week and they've had the loan 5 working days later. So it can be that quick, but it's just, I think people struggle because they've got to get a lot of things together sometimes. I was asked to just talk a little bit about how to improve your credit score. And this is some of the things I've popped on here is what I see as part of the startup loan. One really important thing is check you're on the electoral roll. I recently had a client that was declined. When he went into it further, it was because he wasn't on the electoral roll. He registered on there, reapplied, he got through, he's drawn down a loan now. But if can be something as simple as that can stop you. Another thing is check your credit file. There's loads of free sites where you can check your credit file and make sure it's right, because there could be something, an old parking ticket or something you didn't realise was on there, which could be affecting your credit rating. So yeah, check that, make sure it's right. Obviously pay your bills on time. If you're in trouble, don't ignore the lender, talk to them. They don't want to go down the old debt collection route, and sometimes it can be just a matter of, look, I'll pay you a little bit to try and get back on track. Some people ask me about CCJs. You know, they worry if they've got a CCJ they won't be able to get a loan. That's okay, you can still get a startup loan as long as it's marked as settled on your file. Now that can sometimes take 6 to 8 weeks to happen, so again, check your credit file. Check the, you know, if you've paid things off, they're marked as settled on your file. And one thing I would say is if you're looking to build your credit history, perhaps take a small credit card out with like £100 or £200 limit, spend a small amount every month and pay it off in full. That can really help to build your credit rating. And that's me finished. Hopefully that wasn't too long. If you want to ask any questions, please feel free. If you don't feel comfortable asking questions, please, you're more than welcome to email me and I'll answer you. And that's the end of me at the moment.
Thanks, Lisa. That's great. Mark, you've got your hand up. Were you intending to ask a question? You're on mute, Mark. Sorry. Mark, you're on mute. Can't hear you, Mark. You're on mute. You're on mute.
No, I'm not used to using Teams, to be honest.
Oh,
right. And I've taken my hand down now, I think.
Yeah.
But it was one of the things I was going to say, but Lisa had already answered, because I was just asking about people with like bad credit and stuff like that, obviously, because sometimes people have been through, especially now, they've been through some bad stuff and they might want to sort of, you know, they've lost their job and things like that, and they want to start a new business, but their credit is probably bad because of all the things that have happened. So, you know,
it doesn't necessarily mean you're out of the game. I mean, I have given loans to people who've got debt portfolios with Lowell or whatever. As long as they're servicing them and there's not tons of them and they're managing, it can go through. It's not necessarily you're out of the game.
Right. Okay. That's okay, because you know you do get people asking these questions and they just need to know, you know, because it's pointless in coming to you, you know, when they've got a real nightmare of an history, isn't it? You know, because they're just wasting their time, you know, to be fair.
I mean, they still do have to pass the credit check, but we kind of there are other organisations like Purple Shoots and that kind of thing who will loan to people with bad histories. You know, I think it's only up to 3,000, but it's still, there are options out there. There's loads of other options out there. I think Business Wales can help with that because they have access to find out all the different types of things on offer.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. It was worth putting my hand up after all.
Here we are.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question as well, Lisa. Is it to your knowledge, is it important that when someone sort of pays off, say for example, a credit card, to basically close that credit card so it doesn't appear on your credit?
Yeah. If you're not using a credit card, close them. Don't keep them open. If you're not going to use them and they're not being used, shut them down.
And I think I also read somewhere as well that if you're in credit, say for example, if you're spending up to over, 50% plus, perhaps on a particular credit card, that can also affect your credit rating. I think I've read that somewhere as well.
I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not a massive expert on that. The only things that I know are the things that I see coming through as a loan advisor. And one of the biggest things is not being on the electoral roll. That's a huge one. That can really throw you right off. So
I got to be
I
honest.
know, it's huge. And like I said, a client of mine failed his credit rating and then put himself on there and then got through. I couldn't believe it. It's a bit shocking, but
yeah. Okay, so that's great. Thanks very much.
No problem.
If there's no other questions, we'll move on to Emily from the Development Bank of Wales. Emily, over to you.
Well, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully the kettle sound is gone because I've pulled the plug out.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just a faint background noise, so you carry on. Just speak a bit louder, and you'll round it, I'm sure.
Okay, brilliant. Right, so I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Right. So Development Bank of Wales. I don't know why it's not. So what we do, we deliver on behalf of Welsh Government. So loans from £1,000 up to 5 million. So whilst I'm in the microloans team, there are other teams. So there's new investments they do from 50,000 up to 5 million. We also offer equity investments as well. So we don't just do debt. So we can offer equity from 50,000 up to 5 million. So seed finance as well for pre-revenue tech startups. So we have got technology ventures team, and we've also got Angel Invest Wales. So yeah, equity investments. Property development loans as well. So obviously, these are all other teams, but there's an array of options available. So what we can offer our customers. So fixed interest rates, so whatever interest rates you get given, and that will be fixed for the term of the loan. Repayment terms of up to 10 years. So within my team, as an example, if you wanted to take a 50 grand loan, but obviously you wanted it to be stretched over a longer term to make the repayments more affordable, we could look to offer the loan over a longer period with the option to repay early with no penalty charges. So dedicated local account managers. So obviously you're working with an investment executive. So as an example, if you applied, you would work with someone like myself. Generally, we work with the likes of Business Wales as well and Business in Focus. So if our client needs assistance with the business plan and the forecasting, then we generally get Business Wales and Business in Focus to help with that first. Once they've had the loan then, they'll have an account manager who will manage their account for the life of the loan. So as well as that, we have a strong network of co-investors and advisors. So follow-on funding and relationship management. So once you get the loan, after 6 months of receiving the loan, you can apply for follow-on funding. Obviously that's in relation to how the business is going. So we'll obviously have to have some updated information. So 99% of new customers would recommend us. So with regards to the process, so number one is the application process. So you would apply online, and you can also download a hard copy if you prefer. So either that, or you might get referred. So if you're working with a Business Wales advisor or word of mouth, then you can come to me direct. Number two is assess. So that's where I will look at the application. So I will assess the affordability and the viability of the application. So number three is approve or decline. So customers often get really, they get a bit concerned. If it's declined, will it go on my credit and show that, it was a failed application? Not necessarily, no. So obviously we work really closely with the customers. So I will obviously let you know if it's something that I don't think is eligible. And then if it's something that we can't assist with there and then, it might be that I might say to you, come back in a few months' time when there's a bit more track record, or if I can see a bit of an uplift with the sales. So number 4 is support. So that's the ongoing support I've mentioned. So obviously, you have the account manager throughout the life of the loan. So in terms of the funding and what it can be used for, it can be used for a number of things, from getting a business premises, new markets, products and services, succession and acquisition. That's something that we do a lot of at the moment. So you could be buying a business, or you could be buying shares in an existing business that you're working in. Marketing, new stock, and potentially you might want to take on more staff, so the business is growing, so you need that money to obviously fund the growth of the business. So the only thing that we can't fund for is refinancing. So we're not there to displace the banks. So if you can get funding from your bank, then we would say obviously seek what's available first. So with regards to the interest rates, with us, obviously it's not set in stone, so it's dependent on a number of things, from the age of the business, to the track record. So for a brand new startup business, it would be 9%. But then, obviously if you've traded for a longer period and you've got a great track record, then that could be as low as 4%. As well, another thing to take into account, if you're located on an enterprise zone, you'll be eligible for a 2% discount. So just quickly, I'm just going to go through the options of loans within the microloans team. So obviously the startup loans. So for this, you need a cash contribution. So that's where we differ slightly with the startup loan company. So you would need to put in some money if you were to apply with us. In terms of the amount, it varies from case to case, but we say a meaningful personal contribution. So as well as that, you would need knowledge and sector experience. So obviously we want to know that the business is going to be run by someone who's got sector experience behind them. Viable business plan. So obviously the business plan has to be quite detailed. So you have to cover off a few things, unique selling points, the market, your target audience. There's all sorts of things, but generally you can work with Business Wales on that, or I've got some templates that I usually send customers. Cash flow forecast, that's what we would also require. That's really important for us. So that's something we would look for, and obviously that would allow us to see the affordability of the loan and the serviceability of debt. And so it says the order book there. So obviously if it's a brand new startup business, sometimes it can be too early stage for us. So in this circumstance, we would like to see that they've got some sort of evidence of potential customers. So maybe they've got some pre-orders coming in. That would give us comfort, because obviously at the end of the day, we don't want to give someone debt if they can't guarantee that it will be paid off. And so I've put on there the credit check as well. So whilst this is a business loan, we would still do a personal credit check, but it would be a soft search, and we would also do a business company search as well. So fast track loans are also available. So this is for established businesses who have traded for up to 2 years or more. So these are established businesses with a track record. So, and loans up to 25k. So minimal information is required for this. So it would just be an application form, a SAILI form, which is a budget planner, and 6 months business bank statements may be required. An answer will be given within 48 hours, generally speaking. And if you're a limited company, we would take a personal guarantee. As well, we would do the credit check. So generally, the interest rate would be in relation to a mixture of things, which could include your personal score and the business score. So funding for growth as well. So if you've traded for 2 or more years, but you want more than the 25k, then we can also offer loans for growth. So for this, we would still require a full application. So it'd be similar to the startup application. So application form, business plan summary would be fine because obviously the business is already established. 3 months business bank statements, latest accounts and management accounts if available, SAILI form and a 2-year forecast. So the serviceability of debt is key on this. So obviously we take into consideration existing debt within the business, how long the existing debt has got on it. So if they've got, I don't know, if they're paying £400 a month for HP as an example, but there's only 2 months left, then obviously that will give more room for our potential debt. So we would look at all this sort of information. Credit check as well, obviously, as for all of our loans. So for the application procedure, we'll carry out the checks, as I've mentioned. So companies with 2 years submitted account will have a company credit score. So that will be a score generated based around, obviously, the accounts and the balance sheets. So it will be obviously based on their track record. So that will help us to determine the indicative interest rate. So we will also consider other factors as well, because interestingly enough, some companies Companies House doesn't always notify Equifax soon enough about, you know, the logging of their accounts, their latest accounts. So this can sometimes affect the business score. So that's also another thing to take into consideration. So for sole traders, we would use their personal score to help us determine the indicative interest rate. So another thing, if there are CCJs on the account, it doesn't mean we can't assist, but they would need to be satisfied before we proceed with the application. So if they've recently had the CCJ, but it's still showing on the account that they can provide evidence that it's been satisfied, then that will be satisfactory. So this is just a bit of a case study. This is a business I supported in Pembrokeshire. So they were a sailing academy. They wanted to open up a second sailing centre in Lidstep. So they opted for the fast track loan, and then they were able to set up the second venue then. So we're here to help your business succeed, and that's it really. Hopefully that covers off everything.
Thanks, Emily. That's great. And Emily's put her contact details in. You'll see in the last slide of the presentation. So if anyone wants to follow up with Emily, feel free to contact her on the details there. I don't see any hands up here. If there are any questions, please let me know. If not, we'll move on to the next presentation. So that's fine, Emily. I don't think there is any questions. So if you can close down the screen. There you are, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do a short presentation on some of the grants that are potentially available. As you can imagine, you know, we do, you know, when it comes to sort of funding for anything, especially in this current climate, it's quite difficult and quite, you know, it's quite difficult to find that availability. So I put together something on what I'm aware is available. So bear with me. There you go. Slideshow. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay. So sourcing startup finance. So I'm going to concentrate a bit on grants. So first of all, I'm going to talk a bit about Swansea Council startup grants we've got available. You know, people are quite fortunate at the moment, to be honest, if you are looking to start a business within Swansea, because I think we're one of the few councils in Wales that do actually offer a startup grant for residents who are looking to start something up here. And this is the Swansea Startup Grant itself. The top one has only come into existence from March this year, really. So it's a maximum grant of £1,000, and there's no match funding required for that. The eligibility is you must be either pre-start or trade in less than 2 years and be Swansea based. The items of expenditure would include training, equipment, marketing, website, premises improvement, ICT equipment and business software. What basically happens is we'd ask you to provide, alongside your completed application form, a business plan or project summary and a 12-month cash flow forecast, along with two quotes for each item required. Once you receive your applications, it would go to our grant panel, who would look at the potential viability of the business, how robust your figures are within your cash flow forecast, are they realistic, and the general viability of your business proposal. And this is one quite key difference that we did put in. We were quite keen to sort of help perhaps people who were unemployed, who had maybe been affected by being made redundant, perhaps from following the COVID pandemic. So normally with grants, generally speaking, the applicant, providing a grant was approved, would have to go out to procure the items that had been approved. But we put in the added provision on this that we can also go and purchase those goods directly from the supplier, which I don't believe is sort of commonplace when it comes to issuing startup grants. So that's a really good startup grant that we've got in place. We're still taking applications, there is an email at the bottom, startupgrant@swansea.gov.uk. If you think you're eligible, send us an email and we can send you out the application form. The other grant we've got is the UK Steel Enterprise Grant. At the moment, that's fully spent, but we expect that to be we expect to have a new amount of funding from April next year. So there's some slight differences with regards to startup grant. First of all, it is a maximum grant of £1,000, but the applicant must match fund that by 50%. So to have the maximum grant of £1,000, perhaps you'd want to go and procure a piece of equipment that's £2,000. The grant would cover the £1,000. The applicant would have to cover the other £1,000. The other sort of main difference is that there's no opportunity here for direct procurement of the goods. The applicant would have to purchase the goods up front and obviously get the grant reimbursed to them via backs. There are a couple of other grants that the Swansea Council are currently doing, which may not be applicable to people within this group, but I'll just make you aware. We are doing a business improvement grant that's really more towards sort of established businesses that have got retail premises or shopfront premises, and that's a grant to help people improve their shop fronts, make them more appealing, add some greening, perhaps some outdoor seating. So we're currently in the final stages of looking through expression of interest for that one. And there are as well, or there has been sort of grants and loans available for premises improvement in regeneration areas through our property enhancement development grant. So we have supported people when it comes to sort of renovating premises and so on. Again, it's quite robust with regards to providing business plan and cash flow forecasts, and it's quite a lengthy application process. But there is support available here for businesses from the council itself. What I suggest you do, if you want more information, just go onto the Swansea Council website and you'll see all the information in there. So some of the other grants that are available, there's one via Prince's Trust. This is really to help young entrepreneurs, must be 18 to 30 years old. They do a 4-stage program. They do a workshop. You get a mentor support, and they'd help with the business plan and actually launching the business. So there's a £750 grant available, and there's direct access to the startup loan, which Lisa has covered. More details on their website. There's also the Young Dragons, again aimed at young entrepreneurs, 16 to 25 years old. There was a £500 startup bursary. There's an email there if you want more information. and Swansea University as well. They do quite a range of startup programs, not only for the current students, but for perhaps recent graduates who've maybe graduated in the last 5 years. At present, they've got about £60,000 per annum available in grants available to current students. They generally source that income from their alumni and previous students who sort of make donations into that fund. Co-wine Mentor a Business, that's a project solely supporting Welsh food and drink producers. They've got a £750 grant available to help new businesses in that sector with their branding, which can be quite expensive, and they've got access to their own sort of approved graphic designers who can help them with that. There's a contact number there if there's anyone in that field. The new Enterprise Allowance has also been covered by Lisa. As stated, it is due to end in December 2021. So I'd be expecting that going forward, we will receive quite a few people coming forward to us for that startup grant, because after December, it's unlikely they're going to get any sorts of financial support via the job centre. So we're here to sort of provide that service for them if they are eligible. I know as well that a couple of people on this call are doing social enterprises. There is some funding available for social enterprises, which I haven't put into this presentation. But if you are looking to start a social enterprise, you can get more information from the Cooperative Wales, who do a lot of support around that. But I'll put my email address in as well, so you can contact me about what grants are available for social enterprises, and I can send them through to you. We've done a bit of research on that. And generally on sort of other sorts of startup finance which people generally use is, obviously, if you've got the funds to do it, there's people use their own personal investment, and a lot of people fund it via credit cards. If you are sensible about using credit cards, it can be a sort of low interest way, providing you manage it right, and stick within the interest-free credit periods. To actually source some finance for that means. People use friends and family as well to help them launch their business. There's also private investment. Everyone sees Dragon's Den. People go in with their sort of business proposals. An investor may be interested in investing in that for a slice of the company. Crowdfunding has become quite a popular one for certain people. For example, we've had an artist who's applied for startup grant via us. She had a lot of following via social media, so she started up a crowdfunding page to ask her followers to see if they could help fund her to procure a website. So it's quite easy to set up a crowdfunding page. If you've got a following, then it could well be a good way to go. And there's also the startup loans, which obviously the guys have already mentioned. So like I say, it's startup grant funding isn't, and the Business Wales guys will tell you, it's pretty few and far between with regards to what support you can get. But at the moment, I think probably residing in Swansea, I think you're in the right place to get this kind of support at the moment. With any sort of grant that you apply for, you really need. It's all about viability, and it's all about risk as well. So it's important that you develop a really robust, comprehensive business plan for any grant panel who are looking to approve a grant application or a loan application from you. And also, generally, they do expect a 12-month cash flow forecast, and sometimes they do ask you as well to provide like your survival income as well, so you've got a really good grasp of the numbers involved if you are going to start your business. So this is why I've invited Miranda in, really, so she can tell us a bit more about Business Wales, about how some of the key points with regards to developing a business plan and an accurate cash flow forecast. So, is there any questions with regards to the grant funding tool? If there is, I'll put my details in the chat. And feel free to contact me after the presentation. I can give you some more information on that. So, Miranda, can I pass on to you to do your little section on business planning, please.
Yeah. Okay, just share my screen. I can hear myself playing back for some reason. Oh, stop now. Oh, hang on. Lost my presentation somewhere. Hang on. Right, okay, guys. I'm aware that there's a lot of us partners on the call as well. So, and also that those of you who are in business are either very close to starting or are already established. So, really, just some of this I know you would have gone through already. Some of it I will maybe teaching you how to suck eggs, but it's just really to reinforce the messages that the other guys have gone through already, and to think that even if you haven't done a business plan before, or even if you have, if you are going for funding, it is something that is still required in a certain format. All right, so we get a lot of people, established businesses, who say, oh, it's a waste of time doing a business plan, you don't need a business plan. We obviously advocate doing a business plan for lots of reasons, but just for today's purposes, the funders still require a traditional business plan in most cases. All right, for investment and that sort of thing, you may get alternative sort of requirements. They may ask you to pitch, and they may ask you to give different sort of proposals. But for the types of grants and loans that we talked about today, they are still asking for a traditional business plan. Okay. So I'm going to skim through quite a lot of this. Please do feel free to stop me if you want to ask anything, or you know, if you want to move on or discuss anything else. Okay. So a couple of things we're going to do, just a few tips on, you know, what to put in your business plan. As Steve said, looking at cash flow then and your personal survival budget. Okay. So click through this quickly. Business plan obviously is useful to show the investors. If you're going for a new contract as well, it doesn't always have to be cash. Sometimes, you know, partners or clients will want to see what the sort of viability is and how risky it is for them to engage with you in any sort of contract. So that's also a reason for doing it. It's useful for yourself, obviously, for you to look at your business plan, even though you know your business and you're living it day in, day out. Sometimes we do get a bit blinkered. So actually to write and monitor and develop your business plan as you're going through is useful for you to monitor how you're actually doing, particularly with the finances. So, you know, a cash flow forecast is a brilliant way, not just to plan your business, but to go back after 6 months, a year, 5 years, and review how you're doing and why you're doing maybe differently from what you planned, so you can change things. Okay, but for startups, as we say, the main reason to do it is for you to assess the viability, work out what you need to do, and to demonstrate that really, you know, you've done your homework and that you're ready to start up. Okay. There's lots and lots of templates out there. Generally, they all follow a very similar plan, and these are the sort of sections that you'll find within a traditional business plan. Oh, sorry, let me go back. Okay, so a summary, an introduction and what your objectives are for the business, overview of your products and services, what you actually do, an understanding of your market, your competitors and who your customers are, your sales and marketing. Quite often get sort of skimmed over this, and people kind of will maybe talk about how they're going to market their business and promote it, but not talk in detail about what they understand about their customers. I could talk all day just about that section. Operations is actually how your business is run on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, this can be the process, the business process. So, for example, from your supply to your manufacture to your sale, how it works. This section usually includes all the sort of legal and the regulations as well. So I'll go through that a little bit. Financial information obviously is a big section of your business plan. Summary usually comes at the start of a business plan. Always best to leave it until the end. When you've worked through your business plan, you can take an objective look at that, really understanding what you've written, and then do your summary last. Your summary is the first thing the funder will see. So they'll open your business plan, they'll read the first section, and you want that really to tell them what the business is all about. Okay, What are your core activities? Who are your customers? What size is your business? And a little financial summary as well, so they can see at the first glance what type of business this is. Okay. So overview of the business is ideally just the one page. It doesn't have to be a couple of pages long. And in fact, when I was in the bank, if I got a business plan that looked like that, it's unnecessary. You should be able to summarize in a paragraph, couple of paragraphs, what it's all about. Okay. Okay, so you usually get some sort of introduction or objective section in the business plan. What they want to know here is, sorry, I'm just going to shut my window. There's somebody drilling outside. 2 seconds. What they want to know here is what makes, are you fit to run this business? So what qualifications and experience, what knowledge do you personally bring, or your partners to the business, that is likely to make the business work. We don't want to hear the life story. We don't want to know what your hobbies are if it's irrelevant to the business. Okay, only put in things here that are actually relevant to the business. We have loads of them that say, I've got 3 kids and I like climbing mountains. That's great, but if it's completely irrelevant to what you're saying and what you're asking for, it doesn't need to be in there. Okay, so factual information, focus on things that's relevant to the business. You can add your CV and the appendices at the end, which will give a bit more detail. We don't need you to list your GCSEs and your A-levels in the business plan. Okay, the business mission, I think, is very important. Again, it's something I think that people will sometimes just think of. Oh, I know, we want to be the best hairdresser in Swansea. Well, that's not really a mission. That's not something that you're setting out to achieve. It's a little bit woolly. So if you genuinely have got something that's driving you, which most people have, what is it? Why did you start this business? Yeah, what's important to you? What is the business going to do? So obviously with a social business, the mission is at the core of that business. It's what the business is all about. Okay, so be clear. What is it this business is about? And then follow that up with some objectives and be quite specific with that. We do see, or to grow the turnover, to employ staff, to have a premises. That's quite woolly as well, okay? So think about it. How are you going to reach your mission? That's your main aims. And what objectives can you set yourselves to measure that, really? So if you're going to say to employ staff, how many staff, how many hours maybe, and when is that going to happen? Yeah, so maybe to employ 1 member of staff by the end of year 1, to employ additional members of staff within the next 3 years. You can break that down. What is important to you and what's important to your business? That should be what you're measuring yourself against. Okay, so make them smart. Set up short, medium and long-term goals. What are you going to achieve within the first 12 months, 1 to 3 years, 5 years plus? Okay, so make them measurable. So smart, obviously, specific, measurable. Can't remember what I was going to say now. Smart, achievable. Yeah, realistic. Don't be woolly. Be realistic. Don't say that you're going to reach 2 million turnover in the first year if there's actually no way on earth you're likely to do it. Okay. Okay, your products and your services, very important. Again, it's really easy to say, we're a social enterprise that helps lone parents. Sorry to jump on the bandwagon, Helen, but be specific and explain this to the reader as if they know nothing at all about your business, because it's likely that they don't. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything about your business. And you and whoever you've been working with to do the business plan have been living and breathing this. So there'll be a lot of assumptions that you think people will know. Explain any terminology that you use if maybe the funder's not in the sector that you're working in. So you need to explain very, very clearly and very simply exactly what it is you're doing. Okay? Even as simply, even hairdressers. Not all hairdressers do the same thing. Yeah, do you cut children's hair? Do you do colouring? Can you work with afro hair? Lots of different things. So don't assume that we know anything at all about your business. Okay, be clear what it is you do. So we do this. So for example, I am a hairdresser. based in Swansea, and I will, will cut hair from children to any age so that they can feel amazing when they leave, whatever. So what do you do? Who do you do it for? And what is the benefit? What value are you adding to your customer? And that sometimes can help you kind of sort of provide that overview. Okay, I'm aware that I'm rushing, but I'm also aware that a lot of you would have gone through this as well. Markets and competitors, I'm very, very hot on this. To me, this is one of the most important sections. It's not good enough just to say that, my customer could be anyone in Swansea, or my customer could be anybody who's getting married, or, okay, you really, really need to know who your customer is. And in your business plan, you need to demonstrate to the funder that you know. Show them that you've done your homework, that you understand the market that you're going into. It's not just something that you're passionate about. So, for example, I know with Sue, you're an artist, talk about what the market is like at the moment. Are there any trends? Are there any factors that are, that are influencing the business that you're going into? Okay. Obviously, with hospitality is a prime example. The past 2 years has influenced what's happening in the sector now. So don't assume that the reader knows you know your market. Tell them what you know about it and what's going on. Are you looking at something that's sort of forward thinking? Are you looking at, at new trends? Yeah. Your customers, demonstrate in your business plan that you've spoken to your potential customers. Okay. Don't guess what they want. You've been out, you've done your research, you've spoken, you've established there is a level of demand. You've talked to your customers, your potential customers, and you've asked them what they want, and that marries up with what you're going to provide. Okay, so explain that, tell them what you've done. And the competition. Again, people feel differently about the competition. We used to say in the business plan, I'm going to be better than the competition because I'm going to do this, or I'm going to add this, or I'm going to offer this. You don't necessarily have to be cheaper or compete with them. You just have to be aware of what's there. So you need to show the funder, I've done my homework. I know that there are 26 other hairdressers in Swansea. Here's a list of them. I've had a look at them. I know what they do well. I know what they do maybe not so well. I know what their prices are like. I know what type of customers go there. And I know how they promote themselves, how they kind of reach out to their customers. Okay, and this is where I stand against that. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, so that will show them then that you've really, you know your stuff. You've done your homework. You're not just going to sort of take a gamble and open a shop. Okay, you can do a competitor analysis. It's always a good thing to put in, and it does show that you've done your work. Okay, you can always add any samples of things that you've done again as appendices at the end. Okay, so SWOT analysis is always useful to put in a business plan, and this has been totally transparent again. Talking about what strengths you have. What are your business strengths? So, do you have experience in the market? Have you worked in this industry for a period of time? Have you got a product that maybe, there's not very much competition in the market for? Yeah, and putting in your own fund into it. Anything that you see as a strength. Weaknesses, obviously, it's really, really good for you to acknowledge any weaknesses you have. Because if you do acknowledge them, you can do then something about it. Okay, but showing the funder that you're aware of your weaker points is a good thing, because then it shows them that you're willing to sort of address that and identify it. Okay, so your weakness may be that you're no good, for example, with figures or finance. Okay, and it might be that then you decide to to bring in a bookkeeper or an accountant or a family member or friend that's going to look at that side of the business for you. Okay, the opportunities and threats, those are quite often external factors that we can't really influence, particularly threats. What could go wrong? What could stop this project from going ahead or this business from starting? Okay, and that could be anything that you see as a potential threat or a risk. Okay, COVID is a prime example. Nobody saw that coming. But a similar situation now won't be ruled out, in the future for many businesses. So if that's a threat to you, what can you do now to try and mitigate that risk? Okay. Illness, accident, that's a threat. If you are the business, or there's just a couple of you running this business and something happens to one of you, what effects that going to have on the business. Okay, and if you think about that, then you can look at what you can put in place again to mitigate the risk of that happening. Okay, the opportunity section is really time for you to look outside of the box and not just see what you're planning, but to see what other opportunities may present themselves. Okay, and they are out there for every type of business. We know with COVID that lots of businesses had to diversify and go into different markets because, you know, they had no option. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so they had no option to do that. So what other opportunities are there for you to think outside of the box and grow or develop your business, maybe in different directions than you would have originally thought? Okay, sales and marketing, that's another chunk of your business plan. This follows on from your customer sort of research. You still with me? Oh, sorry, Stephen, you popped off the screen there. I thought you disappeared. Okay. Somebody let me know if you can still see that screen.
Yeah, still see it.
My internet is a little bit slow. Sorry. Frozen, there we are. Okay, so far, everybody still with me? Not sleeping?
No, we are.
No, okay. So sales and marketing strategy, again, it is quite often sort of glossed over a little bit. I'm going to sell, I'm going to use social media, I'm going to sell via my website, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you want the rest of the world. So it's making sure that you do actually have a strategy for your own benefit. And this really has got to tie into your cash flow forecast, okay? What is your activity? What activity are you going to do to promote your business, to engage with your audience, and then to kind of convert those engagements to sales, okay? And if you don't have a plan of how you're going to do that over a period of time, how do you know what business you're likely to bring in, okay? So it is quite important to do a detailed sort of plan for this. I've put on there, understand the difference between sales and marketing. So, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, I just sell through Instagram, which they do. But what's your strategy? Are you using Instagram just as a shop, or are you using Instagram to engage with your customer, your audience, to get to know what they want, for them to get to know you? You know, social media is there for you to build that relationship. It's a better opportunity now than ever to do that and to use those channels properly. Okay, so it's understanding what you're doing, whether you're marketing your business, whether you're building that relationship, and how you can convert that relationship, how you can convert that interest into sales. What are your sales channels? Okay. In your strategy then, you know, be specific if you can. What are you going to do? What's the activity? So for example, listing X number of times a month on Instagram. Who is responsible for that? When is it going to be done? And is there a cost attached to that? Okay, and again, as I said, that'll feed in then to your forecast, your activity forecast and your financial forecast. How's that going to look? Operations obviously will vary from business to business. It really does depend what they're doing. As I said earlier, this can include things like your legal status, any regulations and things that you need to consider, depending on the business. Examples there: health and safety, intellectual property, data protection, GDPR, business insurance. Have you looked into that? Have you thought about what cover you might need? Sorry. Premises, if you're taking on premises, or if you're in premises and you're expanding, you know, have you looked into that, and have you looked and taken advice on the contracts, the lease agreements, the borrowing, you know, any rates that are applicable to your premises? So again, explain this. The funder's not going to know unless you tell them. Okay. Same with suppliers. You know, explain the supply chain if you have one in this section. Okay, what terms of business, any credit or contract agreements you have with your suppliers as well. Okay, again, you know, this is potentially a section that is a risk. If you've got one main supplier and you're dependent on that supplier, if something happens with that supply chain, what effect does it have on your business? Okay, so this section, although it can be quite a small section, this is your day-to-day running of the business, and this will give the funder an understanding of the type of business and the size of business as well on the day-to-day operations. Okay, finance section then, very meaty part of the business plan. For startups in particular, it's quite a scary part of it. But I think, you know, based on today's session, if you are working with people as partners, it's just to demystify it for them and simplify it. And if you are a business that does need to either do a business plan or renew your business plan, you know, it's just to simplify it, keep it down. So you've got a couple of costs. You've got startup costs for a new business, everything you need to start your business. If it's equipment, etc., you know, list your supplier and put the price down so you know what your costs are going to be. Lisa mentioned that you need to sort of see the quotes, and so did Emily, in terms of anything that you're looking for funding for. So good idea right at the outset, you know, if you are just browsing and looking at sort of equipment and materials, just take screenshots so you know you can go back and use them then for the figures when you're doing that. Okay, Steve mentioned the personal survival budget. This is something we always do really as a first point of call, I think. The personal survival budget is what money do you need to live on every month, okay? Not just to survive, but if you can, you want to kind of maintain your lifestyle. So that starting a business doesn't mean that you're on the breadline, if at all possible. Okay, put everything in here, all your expenditure that you would normally spend on a monthly basis. Okay, you can use your bank statements. And by doing this, you will know how much you need to make to pay yourself a wage. And I know for some of you that are established, it's quite hard, you know, to understand, but a lot of people will put in a wage in their cash flow forecast when they're not, you know, they're not making enough money to pay themselves. So, you know, you've got to think about that before you even start. What money do you need personally before you even start looking at the business costs? Okay. This is just an example of a survival budget, just a really simple little table, just listing all of your costs. Okay, now there may be some things there that have to be paid. There will be, like your mortgage or rent, council tax, utility bills. And there may be some things that actually you would be prepared to sacrifice or give up in the short term while you're setting up the business or expanding and investing into a new project. Okay, but try and put everything in. Don't kid yourself. Be realistic. You know, this is for your benefit more than the funder. Okay, this is just a simple cash flow forecast then. So for anyone who is new, who hasn't done it before, people do get afraid of it, but actually this is just a kind of snapshot of what you expect your bank balance to look like on a month-by-month basis. So at the top here, you've got all the income that's expected to come into the business month on month. And at the bottom is any expenditure that's going out on a monthly basis. And obviously the bottom then will show what it's looking like. This is important for lots and lots of reasons. Obviously, in terms of applying for funding, it'll show the funder what income you can expect. It's not plucked out of the air. It is your best guesstimate based on all the research and all the work that you've done and the knowledge of what you have and your knowledge, sorry, okay? So any sales income, you can change this and you can put in whatever you want. So for example, I had a customer the other day who had a couple of different sort of lines of income. So they had, she's a therapist. So she's got sort of, let me go back, sorry. So she's got regular income from a sports club that she worked with. She had a line for that. She's got another one where she has a private clinic. So she's got a line for two different lots of income. And then actually she does something else as well. So she had 3 lines of income, which is regular income into the business. Okay. You can put another column in here if you're a starter, just to show what the situation is pre-start. So if your business is starting in December, you can have another column here saying what money is coming in or out of the business before you actually start. Okay, and this is where you might put in any grants or loans that you've had either pre-start or in month 1. Okay, again, you know, you can break it down as much as you want. You can change all the titles on these. your expenditure here. Very important to think really carefully about this, and don't be afraid, you know, to go back and tweak this as you're going through the first few months as well. Okay, so things that go in here, you know, things like purchases, obviously that will fluctuate. But if you have an idea of your, you know, your business activity, if for example it's an art-based business and you're going to be buying materials that you're going to use, you know, often within your business, it may be that you buy them every 2 months or every 3 months. Okay, so think about, I mean, don't just split the figures up and make the same figures every month, which is lots of startups do that. Think about what's influencing your figures. So with your income, are you going to have an income on day one when you start the business? Or is it going to take a couple of months to pick up? Yeah, think about seasonality. Are there going to be busy times? Is your business going to be, you know, bringing in more income at certain times of the year? So obviously with seasonal businesses, with summer businesses, going to be busy in this period. Christmas is obviously busy for a lot of retail businesses, and they're going to be quieter months. So take that into account when you're projecting it. And also don't forget that some weeks have got sort of some months have got 4 weeks, 5 weeks rather than 4 weeks. So again, take that into account. It's not going to be exactly the same every month. Okay, same thing with your costs. You know, some of those costs will be weekly expenses. If there's 5 weeks in a month, there's going to be more than a month with 4 weeks in it. Okay. Once you've got all your costs in here, your monthly expenses, obviously you've got your income here, your expenses there, you can see, you know, whether you're going to be in the red or in the black at the bottom before you consider even giving yourself a wage. Okay, now if this figure is obviously in the negative, you haven't put your wage, your drawings in, then the business doesn't look like it's making enough money to pay you a wage. Okay, same thing with your loan repayments. You know, the funder wants to see what's likely to be coming in from this and your narrative in the business plan. What are your commitments going out, and can you afford to actually make these loan repayments over that period of time? And again, with bigger funding and different types of business, they ask for a 2 or 3 year cash flow forecast. So, you know, based on what you know now, what are your figures looking like, and is it going to be affordable to you now and in a year's time and 2 years time and 3 years time? Okay. Be transparent, be realistic. You know, you don't want to pull wool over funders' eyes, because really you're going to end up in a muddle then a few months down the line. Okay. That's just what I've been through there. Yeah, try and understand. A lot of people will get somebody else to do their cash flow forecast for them. You know, get help by all means. You know, a lot of startups need help, but try and understand what's in there. Understand how this is, you know, influencing your business and how your business is influencing your bank balance. Okay, and then you can see what you were going to need then in terms of borrowing or in terms of sales. So, you know, you need to make X amount to cover your expenditure for that month. Okay, and then obviously at the end of your business plan, you have a couple of appendices that you might want to add in. Again, depending on the situation with your business, depending on the lender or the funder. Okay, you might want to put in there some supporting information. So it could be a CV, it could be any policies or procedures that you've got that you've referred to in the plan, letters of support, evidence of any other funding that you have or support that's going into the business. Again, which kind of enhances your business case, really. It proves that what you've done is quite robust and that there is support for your business. Okay, top tips. If you're writing a business plan for someone else, as I said, we should be writing a version of our plan for ourselves. But if you're writing it to get funding or support, assume they know nothing at all about your business. Keep it simple. Try and preempt the questions the reader may have about your business. So whenever we're reading a business plan, that's all we're doing is really asking questions. How are they going to do that? How do they know that? How do they expect to bring in that level of income? So try and sort of take yourself back a few steps, read the plan and think about what questions may be missing, what answers may be missing. Okay, and try and answer them. Research as much as you can about your market and your customers. Find out what they want, what they need. Is there a demand? Don't rush the financials. Take some help and, you know, really think that through. Quite often it's something that people do very quickly and they don't think it through properly. Ask for help and advice if you need it. Okay, so for the few people that are on the call, if you do need help with a business plan, either to start up or indeed to sort of go on to another sort of stage of your business, please get in touch, and we will, you know, we'll get somebody to give you a call then and arrange a call with one of the advisors. Okay, that is my contact details. If you want to get in touch with me, feel free to, even if it's just for a chat or a referral on for somewhere else. We'll do our best to help you guys. And that is that. Any questions? Sorry, it's a bit long-winded.
No, that's very comprehensive, Miranda. Thanks very much. And as you said, it's important to be comprehensive and thorough when you are applying for a grant or a loan, because it's a competitive environment. You know, and the more prepared and knowledgeable you are about the business you're launching, obviously the better. If there's any questions for Miranda or any other presenters, maybe put your hand up. I'll give Miranda a very quick question. What I've sort of found recently, obviously, maybe as a result of a scarce labour market, Miranda, is we do get people who are sort of starting a business, perhaps as a sideline to their current job, or perhaps they start a business and sort of take on a part-time job with someone while they're building up the business, just to get the regular income. Where possible, you know, is that a sort of a good way of perhaps starting a business in a certain sector, where, for example, if you're home-based or if it's an online type business, so you've got that regular income, increasing your survival budget, which perhaps means that you don't have to procure so as much sales revenue, you know, in your first year of a trade. And do you see a lot of that trend yourself?
Yeah, we do, and you know, particularly during that initial lockdown period, you know, a lot of people were furloughed and at home, and they were sort of, you know, thinking, oh, I could, you know, develop my hobby into something, I could start making money out of it. So a lot of people started doing that, and obviously, yes, that's a good idea. If you're not fully dependent on your business for income, obviously that's going to help. It's going to take a bit of the pressure off, isn't it? So we've got another stream of income coming in. I mean, with my clients, they're all young, and a lot of them are still living at home with parents, so they're very fortunate. They're in a great position. They're not reliant on the income of the business, and it does, you know, obviously that gives them a lot of breathing space, because they don't have to be covering their bills from day one. So anything they can do that takes that pressure off is great, obviously. What people don't realise a lot is that when they're trying to do two, you know, how much of the time it takes, and sometimes they don't appreciate that actually the business isn't working and it isn't developing and growing because they can't afford to give it enough attention and time. So it's a little bit of swings and roundabouts. I mean, it's great to start off part-time and build it up gradually. It depends what it is, doesn't it?
It does. Like, for example, I know, you know, if for example, you're a qualified tradesperson starting a business, you're expected to be pretty busy if you're pretty good due to the scarce amount of labour, or obviously if you're opening a retail shop or whatever, starting off, you know, all your time's going to be tied up there. But certain businesses, perhaps it is a good way to to alleviate some of the initial financial pressure, perhaps.
I was just going to say as well, you know, don't be afraid to talk to the funder, because people come to us and they want, oh, I want help with my business plan, and it's almost like a secret, you know, we get everything ready and then we take the plan to the funder, you know. The funders want to help you, they want to give you the funding if they can, but they want to understand, you know, that it's a viable proposition. So ask them, you know, ask them what's important, ask them for feedback, ask them if there's anything particular that they want to see. You know, and most of them, I'm sure Emily and Lisa would agree, you know, they are happy to do that. They want to talk to you and understand your needs. So, you know, you don't want to just prepare a document, spend a lot of time on it, give it in, and actually it's not what they're looking for.
That's great, Miranda. Okay, we can move on. We're sort of coming to the end. So just a few other points, really. We've established the Business Swansea Enterprise Club Facebook group, which is growing, currently consists of 42 members. Obviously, the group allows you to ask any questions to myself or Matt for Business Swansea, and also share your knowledge and experience with others, as well as promote any new businesses. So I put the link in the chat with regards to the Facebook group. Our next startup session will be held on the 11th of November. The topic will be around websites for startups. And the session will be facilitated by Chris Morledge, the Managing Director of Copper Bay Digital. So that's a really good session if you are looking to sort of set up a website or improve your current website, perhaps. I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Matt, and he's going to give you a bit of information about other business support hour events that we've got coming up, which you may be interested in attending. Matt?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So as I mentioned at the start, we've got a session that effectively runs parallel to this. It's called Business Support Hour, and we run those sessions on a monthly basis, typically aimed unlike this, which is aimed purely at startups. This is aimed at established businesses as well. And the whole idea is that the session is done within 60 minutes. So it's a short, sharp delivery of a topic, business related topic, that you can absorb the learning very quickly and implement that straight away. So just for your diary, and we can circulate details of this afterwards. We've got 3 in the diary, 2 over the next 2 weeks. So the first of which is next Thursday, which is a session called Recharging Your Networking Skills, October 21st, on Thursday the 21st at 10 a.m. And that's this idea that all of us have been doing networking via Teams or via Zoom, online anyway, for the past, what are we now, 18, 19 months. And slowly and surely, these face-to-face networking events are starting up again. And I think a lot of us are a little bit rusty in terms of what our networking skills looks like. So we're putting on this session just to brush up on your networking skills as and when you get back into the real world and start doing the face-to-face networking again. The following week, we've got on 28th of October, Understanding Your Customer. So understanding what your customer needs are, and adapting your service to make sure that you're meeting those customer needs. And then finally, 25th of November, which is a Thursday again, we've got Google My Business. So Google obviously is by far and away the dominant search engine. And you might have noticed that when you Google something, those little boxes on the right hand side of the Google window pop up, making sure that your business has claimed its listing and is making the most of that. So again, we can circulate details of all of those, but those are dates for your diary for our business support hour coming up.
There you are. Thanks, Matt. I've also in the chat I put a link to our Eventbrite page as well. All those events are in there. So if you want to have a look and register, just click on that link. That would be great. Just to wrap everything up, first of all, thanks very much to Miranda, Lisa, and Emily for presenting today. Really appreciate it. Some great content there, and I'm sure a lot of our attendees have gained a lot of useful information from that. I'll be sending out sort of feedback forms on today's session. I'll be posting the relevant links as well. And once the next Startup Enterprise Club session on websites is set up, I'll also send you out the invite for that as well. Again, thanks very much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next month. So thanks everyone, and see you soon.